Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Cold Case Christmas. In this episode, I'm going back to a case that I did a little bit of research on for last year's Cold Case Christmas. But at that time last year, I came across this website, Canada Unsolved. Each year in Canada, between 70,000 and 80,000 people go missing. Most are found within a few days, as is the case with all missing people. Most are found, fortunately, alive and well. Many others join the growing list of long-term missing and murdered Canadians. And this website is dedicated to their stories. The question is there a serial killer in Calgary? In this episode, I'm reading from CanadaUnsolved.com the possibility that a bunch of women who went missing and were murdered in the 1990s were the victim of a serial killer. In Calgary, the serial killer theory began with the 1991 murder of 16-year-old Jennifer Jans, but hers was not the first. Between 1990 and 1991, Joanne Shaver, Jennifer Joyce, and Shauna Vanderbach were murdered. In August 1991, 17-year-old Jennifer Joyce vanished from her group home. In 1986, when she was 12 years old, Jennifer's mother died in a car accident and she became a ward of the province of Alberta. She was well liked at school. Her teachers told the local papers she had a tremendous potential. She'd recently moved to an independent living facility, but like Jennifer Jans, she was drawn to life on the streets. On October 6, 1991, her body was found in a shallow grave near 77th and 13th Street Southwest, approximately 2 kilometres south of where Jennifer Jans was found. And then we've got Joanne Shaver, aged 17. She was murdered in January 1990. Her body was found on Shepherd Road. She'd been sexually assaulted and strangled. According to reports in the Calgary Herald, at age 12, she began to run away and work in the sex trade. At the time of her murder, she was a ward of the province of Alberta and was living in her group home. Police said Shaver's killer appeared to have a history of predatory sexual aggression. James Arthur Link, a convicted sex offender, was charged with first-degree murder in the case, but was later acquitted. Shauna Vanderbach, aged 20, murdered June 20th, 1991. On June 19th, she was socialising with 3 co-workers at a Calgary restaurant. Approximately 9:30 p.m, Shauna and 2 of her girlfriends attended the Tasmanian Ballroom on 12th Avenue and 1st Street in Calgary to view a fashion show. She left the fashion show at 1:30 a.m. on June 20th. An acquaintance gave her a ride to the corner of Southland Drive and McLeod Trail at approximately 3:30 a.m. On June 20th, at approximately 8:30 a.m, Shauna's nude body was discovered behind a rural road southwest of Calgary, about 4.5 kilometres from the Pridis turnoff north of Highway 22X. She worked as an escort and as a hairdresser for Moda Design. There seems to be links with the sex trade. Shauna, an escort, doesn't necessarily mean she was selling sex, but she was meeting men, and the other young women that we've talked about so far were sex workers. And then in 1992, we have Keely Pincott and Tracy M. So Keely was the next to disappear, 29-year-old mother and cocktail waitress who adored her kids. She was looking forward to changing careers. She loved makeup and modelling. In May of 1991, Keely spoke to her mother for the last time. 6 months later, in November 1991, her mother reported her missing. On March 10, 1992, Keely's skeletal remains were found in a wooded area 2 kilometres northeast of Cochrane, Alberta, off Highway 1A. She was identified through dental records and x-rays. Her cause of death was never published. So Keeley, Jennifer Joyce and Jennifer Jans were all found buried in shallow graves west of downtown Calgary. Tracy Maunder, she had her first son at 14 years of age. At 26 years old, she was diagnosed with cancer and had only been working on the streets for 6 months, trying to raise enough money to buy a plane ticket for her son so he could go and stay with his grandmother while she was in treatment. Oh, that's so sad. She disappeared on October 28, 1992. 3 days later, her body was found in a grassy field east of Calgary, beaten and stabbed to death in a field off Gordon Road southeast. In 1993, the Calgary Task Force travelled to Edmonton for a serial killer psychological profile meeting with FBI profilers. They examined possible links between 15 murders, including those of Jennifer Jans, Jennifer Joyce and Keeley Pincott. It's unclear if they examined other cases in this potential series as well. And the details of the findings have not been released. Between 1991 and 1995, at least 56 sex trade workers were killed while working on the streets in Canada. 8 of these women were from Alberta. By 2000, the pattern was impossible to ignore. In 2003, after examining 82 seemingly similar unsolved cases in Western Canada, the RCMP developed Project CARE to investigate the serial murders and disappearances of vulnerable persons, focused on cases in the Edmonton, Calgary area. One possible suspect in these murders was a pimp called Barry Thomas Niedermeyer. In 1990, he was convicted of trafficking a 14-year-old girl in BC, who he met in Calgary. When investigators rescued the girl and finally interviewed her, she was so terrified that she requested the stuffed animal she kept for comfort during her captivity. Investigators returned to the hotel room where she'd been kept to get it for her. For this heinous crime, Niedermeyer served just 14 months in jail. It's terrible. In 2000, he was charged with 14 offences against 7 Vancouver sex trade workers, but no evidence was found to link him to the murders in Calgary. Other suspects have been questioned and various leads pursued, yet there's been no justice for these women. 30 years have passed since the murders began. Investigators believe the same individual is responsible for the murder of Jennifer Jans and another woman, Rebecca Boutillier, who was also a sex worker. So if you were in the Calgary area in the 1990s or since then, and you have information that could help the police, you can contact Crime Stoppers Canada anonymously on 0800 222 8477. It's always anonymous. Even if you are fearful, even if you're scared, any information that you can provide the police might help them solve at least some of these horrible murders. That number for Crime Stoppers, again, is 1800 222 8477. Okay, guys, let me know what you think about this strange case. How many more serial killers are there? A couple of days ago, we talked about a potential serial killer in Tynong North in Australia. Those women who were killed in Australia weren't sex workers. The case is incredibly bizarre, and both cases really have shades of the Gilgo Beach murderer. Alleged killer in jail, Rex Heuermann. How many more serial killers are out there? I'll see you in the next episode of Cold Case Christmas. Bye, guys.